What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video. And before I start this video, if there's noise in the background, it's super windy out today, so if you hear that, it's the wind and whatever else is going on. But today we're going to be looking at the 2011 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. Now, I already did this once with the 2010 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs, so make sure to go and check out that video. But this is just a fun recap video to show you how the seeds went, who was in first, who was in sixth, who made it past this if you're not familiar with it, or if you just wanted to watch this video for fun, or just to get a refresher. So hopefully you will enjoy this and subscribe. Lots of cool stuff coming to this channel as well. And also, if you're a fan of sporting events and concerts and other stuff like that, make sure to use my code APH on SeatGeek to get $20 off your first purchase. So let's check out this video. Now, we are going to be looking at the conference standings and the points. Now, last time in the 2010 NHL playoffs, the West was the really dominant conference, but both conferences this time actually had some equal playing field. There was a lot of really good teams on both sides, so let's check it out. Anyways, the East, in first place was the Washington Capitals once again. They were the Southeast Division champions, Eastern Conference regular season champions with 107 points. Another dominating year for Alexander Ovechkin and the Capitals, and he scored some wicked goals in these playoffs. Next, the second seed was the Philadelphia Flyers, the Atlantic Division champions, with 106 points. The Boston Bruins were the Northeast Division champions with 103 points. The Pittsburgh Penguins were in fourth with 106 points. Tampa was fifth with 103 points. The Montreal Canadiens were in sixth with 96 points. The Buffalo Sabres had 96 points in seventh, and the New York Rangers had 93 points, and they were the eighth seed. Over to the West, the Vancouver Canucks, who were the President's Trophy winners, were the Northeast Division champions, the Western Conference regular season champions, and of course, the President's Trophy winners, 117 points. The San Jose Sharks were the second seed, the Pacific Division champions with 105 points. The Detroit Red Wings were the third place team, the Central Division champs with 104 points. At number 4 was the Anaheim Ducks with 99 points. In fifth was the Nashville Predators with 99 points. And then the Phoenix Coyotes were in sixth with 99 points. The Los Angeles Kings had 98 points in seventh, and the Chicago Blackhawks had 97 points in eighth place. So there was really close between 4 and 8 in the Western Conference, and you could kind of see that between 6 and 8 in the East. But anyways, this was an exciting playoffs. Lots of great highlights. Tim Thomas was wicked. Ovi had some great highlights. I believe Bobby, who had a really nice goal. Bobby Ryan, I think he did the inside-outside deke in these playoffs. Joe Thornton was pretty big in these playoffs, if I can remember. But yeah, this was a really good series. And of course, the riots in Vancouver in the Stanley Cup Final, which, if you obviously know hockey, you know that Vancouver had those riots. This isn't a spoiler. This was 2011. So let's pardon me, let's look at the conference quarterfinals. Starting off with the East, the Washington Capitals, of course, in the 1 seed, faced off against the 8 seed New York Rangers, and that was kind of a rivalry. Washington won the series 4-1. That was, self-explanatory. Everybody thought that was going to happen. Now, the next series was the 2-seeded Philadelphia Flyers versus the 7-seeded Buffalo Sabres. That went 7 games, but ultimately Philadelphia won, so no upsets in that section. The Boston Bruins faced off against the Montreal Canadiens. Boston was number 3, Montreal was number 6, and of course the year before, Montreal went on a pretty wicked run. Boston won that series in 7 games. Then Pittsburgh at the 4 seed against Tampa in the 5 seed. Tampa won that series 4-3 in 7 games. So really good games, really close except for the Washington and the New York Rangers series. Let's move over to the West for the conference quarterfinals, where it was the 1-seeded Vancouver Canucks against the 8-seeded Chicago Blackhawks. That went 7 games, but ultimately Vancouver won that series. Again, a nice little series right there. San Jose was the 2 seed against the number 7 Los Angeles Kings. San Jose won that series 4-2, so again, no upsets there. Detroit was the number 3 seed against the 6-seeded Phoenix Coyotes. They swept the Phoenix Coyotes. Detroit did. 4-0 series win for them. The Anaheim Ducks were the 4 seed facing off against the 5 seed Nashville Predators, and Nashville won that series 4-2. So that was probably a good series. I can't exactly remember that series, but all I know was there were some good goals in that series. Now, we'll move on to the conference semifinals. This is where Washington and Tampa Bay had a series that Washington fans probably want to forget. Now, it was the 1-seeded Washington Capitals versus the 5-seed Tampa Bay Lightning, and Tampa swept them. Now, I'm pretty sure my Tampa Bay Lightning video about them, the pressure to win the cup, is going to go up before this one. So this is what I was talking about. The Capitals were facing a lot of pressure to keep moving on, and they got swept by the Tampa Bay Lightning, so anything can happen. The next series was another sweep. Tim Thomas was amazing in these playoffs. Him and Luongo, I believe, had 4 shutouts each in these playoffs. So Boston won that series 4-0 against Philadelphia, knocking off the better seed. So 4-0, like a sweep in the playoffs in both conference semifinal series, like that's gotta suck. Waiting for the West as we move on over there to the semifinals. The 1-seeded Vancouver Canucks against the 5-seed Nashville Predators. Vancouver, of course, moved on, a 4-2 series win for them. A nice little rivalry there, too. San Jose versus Detroit. San Jose took that series in 7 games, 4-3. Another really good series that was close. The conference semifinals for the East weren't. The West definitely had some better series. Now to the conference finals. It was Tampa versus Boston, which, as we've seen over the years, there's been a couple really good series between them. And, of course, even last year in the 17-18 season. Tampa actually lost this series in the conference finals to the Boston Bruins 4-3 in 7 games. Just a really, really good series. So Boston moving on to the Stanley Cup Final. Over on the West, it was Vancouver versus San Jose, and this was the 1-2. So you expected these two guys to be there at the conference finals, and Vancouver dominated that series and won 4-1. Again, Luongo was pretty good in the playoffs. He had a bunch of shutouts, much like Tim Thomas. And those two teams met up in the Stanley Cup Finals, and ultimately the Boston Bruins upset the Vancouver Canucks, who were easily the best team in the league. And I mean, it went 7 games, and then there was riots in Vancouver. Everybody thought that Boston was going to lose. They were down in the series, but they came back. Vancouver, I guess you could say, choked the series. They lost 4-3, and like I said, those riots, which was one of the dumbest things in hockey history, if you ask me, that happened. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people in Vancouver were proud of that moment. But let's look at some of the notable trophy winners and assists and points leaders. So of course, Boston won the Stanley Cup. The Conn Smythe Trophy went to Tim Thomas. He went 16-9 with a 1.98 goals against average in the playoffs. And of course, like I said, he had like 4 shutouts or something like that, tied with Luongo. He was insane in the playoffs. The assist leaders, Henrik Sedin had 19. Point leaders, David Krejci had 23. And David Krejci also led in goals with 12. He was having a really good playoffs that year. But the Boston Bruins have always been that, I don't want to say bully team, but they're a team that can bully you. They can win games, and they've done that in the playoffs. They've got a good track record, and it's probably going to be no different in 2019. They're going to be a tough team to beat depending on when you're watching this video. I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 3rd. So this, and of course, in 2019. So if you're watching this in a different year, that's cool. But anyways, this is just a cool summary of the 2011 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. I plan on doing more of these towards the playoffs, and I might even hold off some for next year, but we'll see how it goes. Boston Bruins Stanley Cup champions in 2011. Can they do it in 2019? We'll have to see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out the 2010 NHL Stanley Cup Playoff summary. And if you're watching these out of order or whatever, whenever you're watching this, there's probably going to be more on the channel. So make sure to subscribe, like the video, and click notifications for every time I stream or upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.